So for those of you who might be new to this word, what is the definition of a crash out? A crash out is to go insane or do something just completely stupid in general, or to get really upset or lose all self-control. I'm pretty sure you get the gist now. These NFL players had a lot of potential and they came into the league with a lot of potential. Unfortunately, just like the definition I just named, they crashed out and any potential they had, it pretty much went to waste because, as I said before, they crashed out. In today's video, we're going to be looking at some promising NFL players that unfortunately crashed out. We're also going to be looking at some promising college players who had potential to go to the league, but unfortunately, they crashed out. Now, widely depending on how this does, this might be a two-parter series. So if this video does good, I will definitely work on a part 2. But before we get into any of that, let's work on part 1. Let's get into the video. For starters, I don't think you can talk about crash outs without talking about Aaron Hernandez. Aaron Hernandez had a great career at Florida in 2008. As a junior, he caught 68 receptions for over 850 yards and 5 touchdowns. However, despite his great talents, Aaron Hernandez had a bit of personal issues always going on with him. Aaron Hernandez had a lot of talents. A lot of teams were worried to take him in the NFL draft pretty early due to his off-the-field issues. He failed multiple drug tests while he was at Florida, and not only that, it was said that he hung around some very interesting people, specifically people involved in criminal activity. Overall, people were just concerned if Aaron Hernandez was mature enough to go to the pros, and his character problems raised a lot of red flags around the football league. Despite all these issues, for the most part, he would still get selected in the 4th round by the New England Patriots in the 2010 NFL Draft, despite the fact that they drafted Rob Gronkowski in the same draft. Before, he could have went as early as the 2nd round, maybe even the 1st. However, a lot of teams were just worried about him because he was considered a problem. It was rumored that the Indianapolis Colts, the Cincinnati Bengals, and Miami Dolphins were 3 other teams that were possibly interested in taking him. However, once again, his character issues came into play and those teams backed away from him. And I appreciate the fact that he was honest, but Aaron Hernandez even said in some of the interviews that he used marijuana and he also failed multiple drug tests. So it's really no wonder that all of these teams didn't want him outside of the Patriots. Hernandez had a pretty good rookie year with the Patriots in 2010. He caught 45 balls for over 500 yards and 6 touchdowns. And in 2012, him and Rob Gronkowski were one of the better tight end duos in the NFL, and really of all time, as in 2011, he caught 79 balls for over 900 yards and 7 touchdowns. He would have missed a couple weeks in 2012 due to an ankle injury, but for the most part, he still had a pretty good season, catching 51 balls for over 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. Then in the 2012 AFC Championship game, he caught 9 catches for over 83 yards. Little did everybody know in attendance and in the Patriots locker room, that would be his final game with the team. Now, even before the big incident, Aaron Hernandez was always in some big trouble. In 2012, he was involved in a bar fight in Gainesville, Florida. He was out drinking with star quarterback Tim Tebow, and they were getting pretty drunk, and they refused to pay the bill. And somebody confronted them about it, and Aaron Hernandez would go crazy and punch one of the employees in the face, rupturing his eardrum. Luckily, Aaron Hernandez would not face any jail time, and they would settle out of court instead. We're going to stay in Gainesville, Florida in 2007, and once again, Aaron Hernandez was involved in the incident, but this time it would be a lot more serious, as this time it would be a double shooting. Randall Carson, Justin Glass, and Corey Smith were all shot at while waiting at a traffic light. Randall Carson was not harmed in the incident, however, Justin Glass was shot in the arm, while Corey Smith was shot in the back of the head. Hernandez will be picked out of a photo lineup, and the crazy part about this is, when they were interviewing him, this guy had his head down on the table sleeping, like he didn't care at all that he was being investigated for a possible shooting. No charges will be filed against Aaron Hernandez after this incident, but that would change obviously in 2013 when that incident took place. He would be involved in a fight in 2011 in Plainville, Massachusetts. He would be involved in a double homicide in 2012. He would also be involved in a shooting in 2013 of one of his former friends, Alexander Bradley, where he allegedly shot him in the eye. We can go all day about Aaron Hernandez. This man was always a crash out, but we all know what happened in 2013. On June 18, 2013, Odin Lloyd would be found dead with gunshot wounds next to his body, and one of the first people that would be investigated for this is of course Aaron Hernandez. The Patriots even asked him, "Yo, did you do this?" And of course Aaron Hernandez would lie and say, "Nope." Long story short, because a lot of people know about this case at this point, June 26, 2013, Aaron Hernandez gets arrested and charged with first-degree murder. He was indicted on August 22, 2013, and allegedly, he was worried that Odin Lloyd was going to find out he was bisexual, and this is the only reason why he killed him. Absolutely stupid. Patriots almost wiped him from existence pretty much, like Chris Benoit and WWE. They didn't mention him again, and they wiped any merchandise from their website. Pretty much anything Aaron Hernandez related was now gone. On April 15, 2015, Aaron Hernandez was convicted of first-degree murder and all weapon charges, and he was sentenced to life in prison without parole. He would try to appeal this sentence, however, on April 19, 2017, Aaron Hernandez would be found hanging in his cell, and his death would be ruled a suicide. After he died, they tried to vacate his conviction and basically deem him innocent, and at one point, this actually went through. However, in 2019, the Lloyd family would appeal this, and his conviction would once again be reinstated. To be quite honest with you, Aaron Hernandez is literally the textbook definition of a crash out. You look at the dictionary right now, Aaron Hernandez's name, it's probably going to be right there, like literally the definition of it. Sorry that segment took so long, I wasn't meaning to do that, but the next player we're going to take a look at is Rae Carruth. Carruth was a really talented player who played college football at the University of Colorado. In 4 seasons there, he caught 135 passes for 2,540 yards and 11 touchdowns. He would be drafted by the Carolina Panthers with the 27th pick in the 1997 NFL Draft. In his rookie season, he started 14 games, catching 44 passes for 540 yards and 4 touchdowns. He broke his foot in the first game of the season in 1998 and would not play again that season, and then in 1999, he only caught 14 catches for 200 yards. However, what Rae Carruth did next would be one of the most egregious things I've ever heard about. Rae Carruth started dating a woman named Cherika Adams, and not too long after they started talking, Cherika Adams ended up getting pregnant. However, Rae Carruth did not want her to have this baby and even told her to abort it. However, Cherika Adams would then refuse. The problem Carruth had is, he was already dating another woman at the time he was with Cherika Adams, so when he got pregnant, he knew that was a problem. And before I go any further with this story, it's also alleged that he got another woman pregnant before he got Cherika Adams pregnant, and Rae Carruth would threaten that woman saying, "If you don't get rid of that baby, I'm going to send somebody to take care of you." That woman would, unfortunately, abort that baby. He would do the same thing to Cherika, but only this time, Cherika refused. He would put that same plan that he had on that previous woman on Cherika Adams, and he would hire a man named Van Brett Watkins to kill Cherika Adams. November 16, 1999, Rae Carruth would stop his vehicle in front of Adams, and this is where Watkins would drive up and shoot her 4 times, killing her. Carruth would then drive away shortly after this happened. Adams would be rushed to the hospital where she would unfortunately fall into a coma. The baby, on the other hand, would be delivered via C-section. Adams would not come out of her coma, and on December 14, 1999, she would pass away. The baby, on the other hand, Chancellor Lee Adams, would survive. Unfortunately, he had permanent brain damage and cerebral palsy. This was as a result of being without oxygen for 70 minutes before being born. And a bit of a positive note, he actually graduated from high school in 2021. Carruth would try to flee, however, he would end up being caught and arrested on December 15th. Shortly after this, the Panthers would waive him from the team, and the NFL would suspend him indefinitely. He was found guilty of conspiracy to commit murder, shooting into an occupied vehicle, and using an instrument to destroy an unborn child. Possibly facing the death penalty, however, he managed to get off of the first-degree murder charge. He was still sentenced to 18 years and 11 months to 24 years and 4 months in prison. The hitman Van Brett Watkins was sentenced to a maximum of 50 years in prison, and on December 3rd, 2023, he would die in prison. Carruth will be released from prison on October 22nd, 2018 after serving 18 years in prison. Carruth would ruin the life of multiple people with this incident. Number 1, his son now has a disability because of his father, and number 2, he would take the life of his girlfriend, all because he didn't have the balls to take care of a son that was his. Even if he says now that he wants to be a part of his son's life, at that point he didn't, and the only reason he's saying it now is because he knew he messed up, and he knew he messed up in a pretty absolutely egregious way. Aldon Smith had the potential to be a Hall of Fame player. As a matter of fact, I think he had the potential to be what Aaron Donald was, but he ruined that as quickly as it began. Smith was drafted with the 7th pick in the 2011 NFL Draft by the San Francisco 49ers. He was basically touted as a generational linebacker, as he was compared to Hall of Famer DeMarcus Ware. He had a fantastic rookie year in 2011, racking up 37 tackles and 14 sacks. His numbers will go up big time in 2012 when he racked up 19.5 sacks, 1 interception, and 3 forced fumbles. As a result, he was into the Pro Bowl. He would get up to a hot start in 2013, racking up 18 tackles and 4.5 sacks. Unfortunately, after he got into a car accident on September 20th of that year, he was arrested on suspicion of driving under the influence and possession of marijuana. He would enter rehab shortly after this, and he would be placed on the non-football injury list. Although he would return in week 10, he did not start a game again until week 13, and for the most part, he ended the season pretty strong, racking up 34 tackles, 8.5 sacks, in 11 games and 8 starts. It seems like Aldon Smith could not stay out of trouble, as in 2014, he was suspended 9 games for violating the NFL's substance abuse policy and personal conduct policy. He would not be reinstated until week 11. However, on August 6, 2015, it would be the beginning of the end for Aldon Smith. He was once again arrested for driving under the influence, also after a hit and run and vandalism charges. The 49ers got tired of this, so they decided to release him the next day. He would then sign a 1-year contract with the Raiders. However, after playing a couple games, he was once again suspended for that hit and run incident he had on August 6. Although he would re-sign with the Raiders, he would not play for the 2016 and 2017 seasons. However, once again in 2018, Aldon Smith found himself in trouble once again. On March 3rd, 2018, Aldon Smith got into it with his then fiancée, where he allegedly got drunk and also bit her wrist. Then on March 23rd, 2018, he would be arrested for a violation of a court order after he was ordered to stay away from a woman he assaulted earlier in the month. He would also have other charges on him such as domestic violence, assault with force likely to produce great bodily injury, false imprisonment, and also vandalism. The Raiders were not going to put up with him either, and they also released him from the team. Finally, in 2020, he would be reinstated, and he was signed with the Dallas Cowboys on a 1-year deal. He put up some okay numbers for a guy who hasn't played since 2015, where he racked up 48 tackles and 5 sacks. And he wasn't probably by the Cowboys in 2021, so he would sign with the Seahawks. However, you know how the story goes here. He would once again be arrested for second-degree battery, and he got released on a $25,000 bond, and he never played it down with the Seahawks, and he also said he was done with football. He was arrested again on December 7th of 2021, where he was arrested for driving under the influence. He was sentenced to a year in prison after pleading no contest to these charges. As I said, Aldon Smith could have easily been a Hall of Famer. He could have been Aaron Donald before Aaron Donald. Unfortunately, he could not stay out of trouble, and look how his career ended up. Now, whether y'all consider Damon Arnette promising is up to y'all, but for the sake of this list, I'm still going to put him on here. This is probably going to be one of the shorter segments of this video, to be honest. Arnette had a pretty good career at Ohio State, and in 2020, he was drafted by the Raiders with the 19th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft. He played 9 games in 2020 and 4 games in 2021. However, on November 8th, 2021, he will be released by the Raiders after a video of him brandishing a firearm and making threats was released on Instagram. Not too long before this, he was also involved in the hit and run that caused a woman to have head trauma, shoulder, neck, and back pain, depression, and also panic attacks. He was arrested in January of 2022 for charges of assault with a deadly weapon, carrying a concealed weapon without a permit, and 2 counts of possession of a controlled substance. He ended up being indicted for assault with a deadly weapon and other firearms charges, and he would agree to a plea deal where he was sentenced to 50 hours of community service, $2,000 in fines, and he would have to surrender any of the guns he had when he was arrested. He was also ordered not to violate any laws for 90 days. Of course, that didn't happen though, because on July 5th, 2022, he was pulled over and found to have a suspended license. However, the police decided to let him go with no charges, nothing like that. And would you believe it, just a couple hours later, he was pulled over once again driving the same vehicle, This time though, he was placed under arrest and charged with possession of a controlled substance, possession of drug paraphernalia, and driving on a suspended license. He will be arrested once again on January 6, 2024 in Texas for possession of meth and also unlawful carrying of a firearm. Again, whether you want to consider this guy promising or not, he's still a crash out, which is why I put him in this video. Reuben Foster was a guy I was literally just talking about and literally just saw a video on, so I feel like him being in this video is almost poetic. He was named to the first team All-SEC in 2016, and he was also named the Butkus Award winner, the award given to one of the best linebackers in college football. Coming into the draft, a lot of people saw him as the best linebacker in the 2017 class. He was taken in the first round, 31st overall, by the San Francisco 49ers. He had a pretty good rookie year for the most part, where he had 72 tackles, a pass deflection in 10 games and 10 starts. However, he will be arrested twice from January of 2018 to February of 2018. On February 11, 2018, he'll be arrested on suspicion of domestic violence, threats, and assault weapon possession charges. Charges kept racking up though, because on April 12th, he was charged with felony counts of domestic violence, possession of a weapon, and infliction of bodily harm. With that being suspended by the NFL for 2 games for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy. Foster's girlfriend would say that Foster did not strike her, injure her, or threaten her. And she would in fact say under oath that she fabricated the story as a money scheme. However, on November 24th, 2018, Foster was once again arrested for probable cause for misdemeanor domestic violence charges, and the 49ers got tired of this, so they released him from the team. The charge would later be dropped, and Reuben Foster would later be reinstated. Unfortunately, on his first practice with the team in May of 2019, he suffered a torn ACL and an LCL and was placed on injured reserve. Not really sure why they cut my audio out here, but after being released by the 49ers, he was picked up on waivers by the Washington Redskins, and as I said before, on his first practice with the team, he tore his ACL and he was out for the season. Again, not sure why he got cut, but that's what happened. Continue. He played a game with the Redskins, and he would try to work out for the Dolphins and the Seahawks, but didn't get a deal with either of those teams. He would, however, sign with the Pittsburgh Maulers of the USFL, and he started 8 games for them, recorded 53 tackles, 3 for a loss, 1.5 sack, 1 forced fumble, 5 pass deflections, and 1 interception. On January 5th of 2024, he will be selected by the Houston Roughnecks of the UFL, where he started 8 games, recording 30 tackles, 3 for a loss, 1.5 sack, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, 3 pass deflections, and 1 interception. However, he will be waived on August 19, 2024, and a day later, he was cleaned off waivers by the Arlington Renegades. Foster had a lot of promise in his rookie year. However, after his rookie year, everything just went in a downward spiral with the arrest and just the number of off-the-field issues. And then when he came back, he got injured and he never really had this comeback story that he probably wanted to have. Now, we talked about one murder on the list earlier in Aaron Hernandez, but we're going to talk about a case that's probably lesser known than this one, and that's the case of Anthony Smith. Smith had a lot of promise for him coming into the NFL draft in 1990, where he would be selected 11th overall by the Oakland Raiders. He got off to a pretty good start in his first 3 years with the Raiders, racking up 36 sacks in those 3 years. And that's despite the fact he missed his rookie year in 1990 after suffering a season-ending injury. His third season with the Raiders, he was signed a 4-year contract worth $76 million. However, in 1997, he would opt out of his contract and leave the NFL. This is where Anthony Smith would go on a huge rampage. Smith was set fire to a furniture store in Santa Monica in 2003, reportedly over a dispute with money. Now, he would be arrested for this, however, the charges were dismissed after they were unable to reach a verdict. But that would not be the worst thing Smith did. Smith would be involved in the deaths of 4 men, Morello Ponce, Kevin Enrique Nettles, and also Dennis Anderson in 2001. Now, at first, he was just being charged with the death of Morello Ponce. However, then he was charged with the deaths of Kevin and Ricky Nettles and then Dennis Anderson. He would be convicted of the murders of Ricky and Kevin Nettles and also Dennis Anderson, and he would be sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences in prison without the possibility of parole. He ended up not being convicted of the murder of Morello Ponce. And in 1997, I forgot to mention, he would be arrested for domestic violence involving another woman. He didn't get any jail time, but he was sentenced to anger management classes. So even beforehand, he kind of had a very, crash out moment. But those murder cases are what kind of set it off. What's something you're gonna say? His NFL career was already pretty much over, so why he's on this list? He still crashed out, and he was still promising, because he could have been better than what he was. And that is going to do it for this video. As I said, if y'all want me to do a part 2, I definitely will do that because there's a lot of NFL players who unfortunately crashed out. So let me know in the comments down below if you want to see that. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to my channel and tap the bell icon for future football content. And I hope to see you guys in the next video. Follow my social medias down below in the description. And once again, I hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace.